Good evening, and welcome to Red's Classic Theater. Some talented homegrown artists are getting a career boost thanks to the Birthplace of BC Gallery in Fort Langley. Hi everybody, I'm Red Robinson. The Birthplace of BC Gallery is dedicated to the promotion of young artists and to commemorating Fort Langley's important role in the history of British Columbia. And our movie tonight played an important role in the career of Frank Sinatra. It's the 1980 crime drama, The First Deadly Sin, based on the best-selling novel by Lawrence Sanders. This film marked a return to motion pictures for Frank Sinatra after a 10-year absence. He was upbeat about the film, feeling it was the best role he'd been offered in more than a decade. But Frank Sinatra was in a good mood for another reason we'll explain a little later on. By the way, look for a young Bruce Willis in a minor role in tonight's movie, and here's Act One, The First Deadly Sin. This week on Red's Classic Theater, we're exploring the Birthplace of BC Gallery in historic Fort Langley. Local artists working in all types of media take center stage at the Birthplace of BC Gallery. There are paintings and photos on display, as well as pottery and woodwork. Among the most prominent are the pieces created by Fort Langley's own Alan Wiley. Whether working in oils or watercolors, the talent of this award-winning artist is impossible to overlook. The gallery also features the works of Brent Hyten, Amanda Jones, Mike Swab, Janice Robertson, and Al Coulter. Each underscores the wealth of talent to be found in and around the Fort Langley area. More from the Birthplace of BC Gallery when Red's Classic Theater returns in a moment. Behind the main display area at the Birthplace of BC Gallery is this workshop, where many special exhibitions are held several times a year. Now the next one will feature the paintings of artist Janice Robertson and is scheduled for the first weekend in April. The Birthplace of BC Gallery also hosts a series called Fine Art and Fine Dining. Now this gives you an opportunity to meet the artists and discuss their techniques over dinner. Artist Amanda Jones is featured at the end of the month. For more information, call TV 12 tomorrow morning. We'll give you a phone number. Now let's return to Frank Sinatra in The First Deadly Sin. We're featuring The First Deadly Sin this week on Red's Classic Theater. Tonight's movie took its sweet time to get to the big screen. The original plan called for Roman Polanski to write the screenplay and direct, with Marlon Brando in the lead role. But when legal matters forced Polanski to leave the continent, the project was put on hold. It was Frank Sinatra's interest to put the project back on the front burner, and old Blue Eyes was happy to be returning to the big screen after a 10-year break. But he was also happy about his music career. His recent 3-album set titled Trilogy was headed for the top of the charts, and the music industry had honored his efforts with 6 Grammy nominations. Movie critics generally agreed that Frank Sinatra's return to the big screen deserved praise. One Time magazine reviewer marveled at his ability to seize the screen, but one sentence later, he slammed the movie for falling victim to not the first deadly sin, but the 7th, sloth. Now let's return to Frank Sinatra in The First Deadly Sin. Hope you're enjoying The First Deadly Sin on Red's Classic Theater. We've often mentioned that we always enjoy getting feedback from viewers like you, even if it's constructive criticism. Now, if you have a suggestion of a location, or maybe you have an event coming up and you'd like to get in touch with us and tell us about it and have us come out, here's what you do. You can write to us at our Vancouver address, call our 800 number, fax us, or email our producer, Rick Reed. And by the way, that 800 number is also the one to call for information on the Birthplace of BC Gallery, our location this week. And we look forward to hearing from you real soon. Right now, we look forward to getting back to our movie with Frank Sinatra, The First Deadly Sin. The First Deadly Sin is our feature movie this week on Red's Classic Theater. Faye Dunaway, already established as the leading lady of the big screen, had her reasons for taking such a minor role in tonight's movie. Chief among them was the chance to work with Frank Sinatra. While thrilled to be working with the chairman of the board, Dunaway was less thrilled with her part, which required her to remain in a hospital bed. Later, the actress said she could not recall one instance of being out of bed or even sitting up. One event that Faye Dunaway did enjoy was a side trip with Frank Sinatra to Atlantic City. She said Old Blue Eyes was in fine form, regaling his guests with stories of his life and Hollywood lore. And this more than made up for her bedridden role in tonight's movie. Now Dunaway looks back upon this as an enjoyable experience. Now let's return to The First Deadly Sin featuring Faye Dunaway. From the birthplace of BC Gallery, time for our weekly movie trivia quiz. Frank Sinatra won his one and only Academy Award for his role in From Here to Eternity. But 2 years later, he was nominated for the Best Actor Oscar for his role as a drug-addicted junkie. What was the 1955 film that earned Frank Sinatra an Oscar nomination? Back with the answer in a moment. Here's the answer to our movie trivia quiz. Frank Sinatra was nominated for a Best Actor Oscar for his role in the 1955 film The Man with the Golden Arm. Sinatra lost, by the way, to his co-star in From Here to Eternity, Ernest Borgnine, for his role in Marty. Now let's return to The First Deadly Sin. Next Sunday night on Red's Classic Theater, Jimmy Stewart has his hands full when he inherits a house of ill repute in the 1970 Western comedy The Cheyenne Social Club, also featuring Henry Fonda. That's next week on Red's Classic Theater. And that's our show for this week. Hope you enjoyed The First Deadly Sin, starring Frank Sinatra. We'd like to thank the folks here at the Birthplace of BC Gallery in Fort Langley for hosting our show this week. By the way, if you'd like to know more about this fascinating gallery, call TV 12 tomorrow morning. We'll put you in touch. Speaking of tomorrow morning, I'll see you on 650 CI with the Wake Up Club, and next week here on Red's Classic Theater. From Fort Langley, thanks for being with us. Good night, everybody. The First Deadly Sin on Red's Classic Theater will continue. Red's Classic Theater from the Birthplace of BC Gallery will continue. Red's Classic Theater from the Birthplace of BC Gallery will continue. We're featuring some homegrown art this week on Red's Classic Theater. The Birthplace of BC Gallery in Fort Langley displays the paintings, photos, and other creations of many of our area's best artists. Old Blue Eyes is featured in our movie this week, the 1980 crime drama, The First Deadly Sin. And we'll tell you what the critics said about Frank Sinatra's return to the big screen after a 10-year absence. I'm Red Robinson. Join me, won't you?
Sunday night at 9 on TV 12.
We're featuring some homegrown art this week on Red's Classic Theater. The Birthplace of BC Gallery in Fort Langley displays the paintings, photos, and other creations of many of our area's best artists. Old Blue Eyes is featured in our movie this week, the 1980 crime drama, The First Deadly Sin. And we'll tell you what the critics said about Frank Sinatra's return to the big screen after a 10-year absence. I'm Red Robinson. Join me, won't you?
Tonight at 9 on TV 12.
This week on Red's Classic Theater, Frank Sinatra tracks down a psychotic killer in The First Deadly Sin. Sunday night at 9 here on TV 12. Tonight on Red's Classic Theater, Frank Sinatra tracks down a psychotic killer in The First Deadly Sin. Tonight at 9 here on TV 12. The First Deadly Sin on Red's Classic Theater, Sunday night at 9. The First Deadly Sin on Red's Classic Theater tonight at 9.